morning, everyone. This is September 5th, and we have the 493rd Ocean Internet Seminar. Today, we will deal 3 papers, and Ehlers will present all of the papers. Ehlers, please.
Hello, good morning, everyone. We will discuss 3 papers today, and they are related to Plasticrusts, Plastiglomerate, and pyroplastics. So the 3 papers that we will discuss about today. The first one is, the first paper is by Gestoso et al. It's about Plasticrusts, and it was published by 2019. The second paper is Ellrich and Gestoso, Plasticrusts derived from maritime rope, and the third one is Ellrich and Ehlers, published in 2022, and this is field observations in pebble beach habitats linked to Plastiglomerate and pyroplastic via pebble clasts. And then the final one is just a slide for further readings if anyone else is interested in these topics. So what is Plasticrust, Plastiglomerate, and pyroplastics? Plasticrusts are plastic debris encrusting rocky surface. Plastiglomerate are plastic melted together with rocks, pebbles, or sediments. They have rock-like appearances. And pyroplastics are melted plastics that can float in water, have rock-like appearances, can contain toxic substance, and are very brittle. So the first paper that we will discuss is Plasticrust, a new potential threat in the Anthropocene's rocky shores. This paper is actually very short. This is the abstract. Plastic debris is one of the most extensive pollution problems our planet is facing today, and a particular concern for maritime environment conservation. The dimension of the problem is so large that it is possible our current era will generate an anthropogenic marker horizon of plastic in Earth's sedimentary record. In this paper, the authors present a new type of plastic pollution, the Plasticrust, plastic debris encrusting the rocky surface recently discovered in the intertidal rocky shores of a volcanic Atlantic island. The potential impact that these new Plasticrusts may have needs to be further explored, such as potential ingestion by intertidal organisms and etc. And then, yeah. So this is the figure that the authors included in the paper. It's a picture showing the general overview of mid-upper intertidal rocky shore in Madeira Island encrusted by plastic. So since 2016, the rocks of mid-upper intertidal shore in the south coast of the volcanic island of Madeira, Portugal, have been covered by these plastic debris. They are presumably generated from the continuous hydrodynamic induced crash of large plastic items against rocks. And then these plastic debris were found encrusting the texture of rocky intertidal and forming variable crusts in size and color of plastic debris that the authors are coining the term Plasticrust. Authors confirm its increased coverage through time in sampling performed both in 2016 and 2019. Data was obtained through random deployment of 20 × 20 quadrats in the affected Plasticrust area. The resulting abundance of Plasticrust reached a percentage cover of 9.46 plus minus 1.77 per square meter of rocky surface in the mid-intertidal shore. There are 2 different colors, blue and white, and this preliminary study, they did all FDR analysis identified that these materials are polyethylene plastic. And Plasticrust may have effects on surrounding fauna, such as these rocky areas are usually sharing spaces with several common benthic invertebrate species. Particularly, the authors noticed the presence of the lithorinid gastropod, Tectarius stratius. It's a species of sea snail, and I included it at the bottom here, around the top of the Plasticrust, reaching similar abundances to those found in surrounding non-affected rocks. And then finally, the authors also mentioned that they also mentioned another research talking about this. Recently, rocks of plastic composed by a mixture of melted plastic and natural sediments, the so-called plastiglomerates, have been documented in beaches of Hawaii. These plastiglomerates are described as the result of burned debris during campfire, in which pieces of plastic are melted and become part of agglomerate with other natural material when they solidify after cooling. So the bottom here are some examples I found on the internet. Here is the lighter, which is infused with other natural materials. And then this is rope, and this is rope and string, maybe. Yeah, so actually that's the whole paper, because it's only 3 pages. And then this is the second paper, is Plasticrust derived from maritime rope scoring across raspy rocks. This is the abstract. Plasticrusts are a normal form of plastic debris, which only has been discovered in Madeira Islands. Plasticrusts consist of plastic encrusting wave-exposed rocky intertidal habitats and are presumably generated by waves smashing plastic debris against intertidal rocks. However, direct observation of this process are lacking, and it is unknown which type of plastic debris the plasticrusts derive from. Therefore, the authors examined the Madeira rocky intertidal for signs of plastic crust formation and collected plastic crust and co-occurring plastic debris pieces of matching colors. And then the authors examined all collected materials using digital microscopy and FTIR spectroscopy. The authors found that plastic crust can result from maritime ropes being scorched across raspy intertidal rocks, and the plastic crust and the corresponding ropes consisted of polypropylene and high-density polyethylene. And then the authors also showed that high temperatures contribute to plastic crust formation. So in the introduction, they mentioned another of their paper, which I didn't include in this presentation, but you can check it out because I written at the bottom and at the last slide. So they discussed about this previous paper published in 2020 that the blue plastic crust that they found on Giglio Island indicates that this novel plastic debris form is not a local phenomenon. And actually, they mentioned this, and even in the further readings later, we will see that this plastic crust and plasticlomerate and pyroplastics can be found in the UK, US, Japan, and actually, unfortunately, I couldn't find our plastic crust sample in our archive. We actually found one last year during our microplastic survey, and I couldn't find it, so sorry, I cannot show you physical form. And then back to the paper, the research objectives of this paper is that to understand the plastic crust formation process, to identify potential plastic crust sources, and to implement mitigation measures against this new plastic debris form. So where is Madeira Island? It's in Portugal, on this small little island. The air temperature near the substrate is around 41.7 degrees during low tides on sunny summer days. And since Madeira has a semi-diurnal tide, the plastic crust emerged twice a day for about 6 hours during each low tide. This is their methodology. The authors first documented signs of plastic crust formation using camera. They remove plastic crust pieces of different colors and transparent fibers from rocky substrate using a knife. And then they bring it back to the lab and they examine it at 20 times to 200 times magnification under a digital microscope. And then after that, they identify the plastic crust. They identified plastic crust, fiber, and plastic debris polymer types using FTIR analysis. And this time, they differentiated the PE between HDPE and LDPE polymer types. And then finally, they simulated the exposure to summer rocky surface temperature by lining up the individual fibers next to each other on a heating plate and another 20 fibers in the same way on a lab bench for 5 hours and 45 minutes. These are the results. Green Plasticrust was detected on a raspy rock next to a thick scarf green maritime rope, as seen here. Close-up inspection showed that the green Plasticrust consists of green fibers that were partially melted together, and FTIR analysis revealed that the green Plasticrust and the green rope consisted of polypropylene, which is a polymer commonly used in such maritime ropes. And then finally, FTIR overlay indicated a high similarity between the two corresponding PP spectra, confirming that the green Plasticrust derived from the green rope. Oh, this is 96.5%. I typed wrongly. And then the next one, the authors detected several blue and white Plasticrusts on raspy rock surface and a long, thin blue rope nearby, which have started to bleach and fray. Signs of melting were apparent in the Plasticrusts here. FTIR analysis indicated that these Plasticrusts and rope consisted of high-density polyethylene, and the FTIR overlay plots show high similarities between the blue and white Plasticrust and the rope, which indicates that the blue and white Plasticrust may have derived from such ropes. And then, this conclusion is supported by the fact that the blue and white Plasticrust spectra were highly similar here. Authors also detected signs of UV-induced degradation in all examined Plasticrusts and rope spectra. Since UV irradiation induces bleaching in plastics, these findings support the notion that the white Plasticrust may have derived from the blue Plasticrust. Interestingly, additional re-examination of the PE Plasticrust spectrum from Giglio Island, the previous paper, revealed that these blue Plasticrusts actually consisted of HDPE and might have derived from the blue ropes or fishing nets. And then also, the lab examinations found that the individual green PP fibers tightly glued together with adjacent PP fibers and thereby formed significantly thicker dual PP fibers after being exposed to simulated summer rocky temperatures over the duration of one low tide. So you can see here that they become really thick. And then individual HDPE fibers form significantly thicker dual HDPE fibers compared to the PP fibers. These results suggest that high summer rock surface temperatures contribute to the Plasticrust formation process. The authors also found transparent fibers that were firmly melted together with a blue HDPE Plasticrust, and these fibers consisted of PP and may have stemmed from another rope. These observations suggest that HDPE and PP hybrid Plasticrust form when fibers of different polymer types melt together. I will continue with the third paper. This paper is slightly different from the previous two papers because now they talk about mostly Plastiglomerate and pyroplastics. So this is the abstract of the paper. First, they mentioned that Plastiglomerate consists of plastic melted together with rocks or pebbles, and pyroplastic is melted plastic. Although both plastic debris forms were related to campfires, it is unclear whether they are related to each other. Also, Plastiglomerate and pyroplastic records from other shore types are missing. Therefore, the authors surveyed pebble beach habitats in Madeira Island for Plastiglomerate and pyroplastics. They detected 1 Plastiglomerate, including a pebble, and 4 pyroplastics. And then while the 4 pyroplastic consisted of polypropylene, the Plastiglomerate and 1 pyroplastic consisted of both polyethylene and polypropylene. And then, yeah, the research objectives of this paper is that since there has been research published on pebble movements contributing to mechanical plastic degradation, the authors of this paper hypothesized where they could find Plastiglomerate and pyroplastic on the shore types. And due to similarities between the pyroplastic, and plastiglomerate, authors examined whether the plastiglomerate and pyroplastic detected during the survey were related to each other. So while their paper is also focused at Madeira Island, now they focus more deeply towards São Lourenço Beach, which is located within a bay and partially protected from incoming oceanic waves by large rocks. The site is moderately wave exposed, and São Lourenço Beach is a pebble beach that is entirely composed of small rocks and pebbles. The shoreline is around 150 meters, with backshore width at 2 to 6 meters and foreshore width at 8 to 10 meters. For their field survey, they carried out visual comparison to distinguish potential plastiglomerate and pyroplastic. They differentiated plastic debris forms, natural rocks, and pebbles by performing floating tests in seawater filled bowl, and they examined for campfire remains around the beach. And then after taking the samples back, they carried out macro and microscopic examinations using digital microscope at 20 times and 200 times magnification, and they used GIMP software to determine the area covered by both plastiglomerate and pyroplastics. And finally, they also carried out FTIR analysis. So these are the results. They found one plastiglomerate here, and this plastiglomerate was found along the foreshore transect, and they found 4 pyroplastics, which were found along the strandline transect, but no plastiglomerate or pyroplastic was found along the backshore transect. And then this plastiglomerate actually included a pebble, as you can see here, while the rest, PP1 to PP4 did not include these pebbles. FTIR analysis confirmed that PG1 and PP1 consisted a mixture of polyethylene and polypropylene, whereas PP2 to 4 consisted of polypropylene here. PG1 and PP1 consisted of a mixture of polyethylene and polypropylene, suggesting that plastiglomerate and pyroplastic can derive from the same polymer material. Yet the relatively low similarity of the two corresponding FTIR spectra here indicates that PG1 and PP1 may not derive from the same plastic debris source. The high similarity of PP2 to PP4 FTIR spectra suggests that these 3 pyroplastics likely derive from the same plastic source. Pebble clasts may form during plastiglomerate formation and degradation through incomplete agglutination of melted plastic or pyroplastic, and pebbles and through environmentally induced loss of pebbles respectively. PG1 and PP1 did not show any signs of incomplete agglutination, but macro and microscopic examinations revealed multiple indicators of plastic degradation, including scratching, cracks, plastic flakes, and holes, like here, that may have been caused by environmental influences such as UV irradiation and mechanical wear. Although there were no indications of plastiglomerate and pyroplastic formation at the site, the authors proposed that PG1 was formed at the studied Pebble Beach, whereas PP1 to 4 may have formed elsewhere. The reason for this is because PG1 pebble resembled common pebbles at São Lourenço Beach. PG1 sank straight to the bowl or beaker bottom during floating tests, suggesting that PG1 was not transported from other islands, whereas in contrast, PP1 to 4 kept floating at water surface during floating tests and may have formed as well before being washed ashore along the São Lourenço Beach strandline. You can see it here in this table. And then finally, the authors also mentioned that Coran et al. Showed that plastiglomerates can get buried in beach sand, which may increase the chances of melted plastic being preserved in the sedimentary record. Currently, it is unknown whether deeper layers of pebble beach habitats contain plasticlomerate and pyroplastic. Recent lab experiments indicated that pebble movement can grind plastic into microplastics, suggesting that detected plasticlomerate and pyroplastic flakes may have derived to some degree from interactions between beach pebbles, plasticlomerate, and pyroplastics. So in combination, these findings support the hypothesis that pebble beaches may, in sharp contrast to sandy beaches, contribute to the formation of microplastics from plastic debris. And then this last sentence is actually the reason why these three papers were discussed, because these Plasticrust, plasticlomerate, and pyroplastics can actually contribute to the formation of microplastics. And then finally, this is the last slide. For those that are interested, you can read more about it based on research in US, UK, and Japan. And there are also research on this Plasticrust, plasticlomerate, and pyroplastics from river estuaries along Japan. That's all. Thank you.